Image copyright Getty Images. School children should be taught about the importance of breastfeeding, doctors say. The Royal College of Paediatrics and Child Health says the UK has one of the lowest rates of the practice in Europe, with just a third of babies receiving breast milk at the age of 6 months. They argue breastfeeding in public is still often stigmatized. The Royal College recommends the subject is covered in personal, social and health education (PSHE) classes. It advises that mothers should be encouraged and supported to breastfeed exclusively for up to 6 months, with solid food introduced from 6 months, ideally alongside breastfeeding. Professor Nina Modi, the Royal College's president, said too few babies were being breastfed and it was up to the government, families and schools to get the country out of a black spot. Children needed to understand more about breastfeeding, she said. The first stage was to expose very young children to mothers, aunties and family friends doing it so it became normal and natural, she said. Then, schools should teach children about, for example, the evidence that breastfeeding was good for the health and why it could be difficult or easy, she added. Both boys and girls should be in the lessons, as partners can do an awful lot to help by being supportive and involved, said Professor Modi. Currently PSHE is not a statutory part of schools' curriculums, although that will be consulted on this autumn. Schools which to teach the subject largely decide what they wish to teach. When we asked groups of children and young people what they thought about breastfeeding, we were really surprised and a little bit upset to hear the word yucky being used by them, Professor Modi said. Clearly the perception that we, as a society, are giving children, is not the perception we want them to be getting. She added regrettably the attitudes of a large part of society mean breastfeeding is not always encouraged. Local support is patchy, advice is not always consistent and often overly dogmatic, support in the workplace not always conducive to continued breastfeeding. And perhaps, most worryingly, breastfeeding in public is still often stigmatized. It is no wonder that for many mothers, there are too many barriers. Anna Whitehouse, a parenting blogger on Mother Pucker, said she was not uncomfortable breastfeeding in public but could understand others who were. That's not their fault, she said. We're not educated that it's a normal thing, it's not in biology classes. Suddenly it's just a thing that you do, and people are expected to just go, oh, that's normal. Overwhelmed and exhausted. In a separate survey of 1,030 mothers of children under 5, the most common reasons why mothers stopped breastfeeding were found to be the baby wasn't latching onto the breast properly, 56% worry that not enough milk was being produced, 42% pain, 39% being overwhelmed and exhausted, and something having to give, 34% difficulty with expressing breast milk, 32% worry the baby was not gaining enough weight, 24%. Nearly three-quarters agreed with the statement that there was too much emphasis on telling women why they should breastfeed, and not enough on supporting them to do it. For those still breastfeeding at 6 weeks, face help from a healthcare professional or a breastfeeding counselor was considered the most effective intervention. Justine Roberts, the founder of Mumsnet, which carried out the poll, said there's no sense in endlessly telling women that they must breastfeed, but letting them down when they have a baby in their arms. Breastfeeding is a skill, and most mothers need support when they hit a problem, especially given that they are often shattered, sore and sleep-deprived. The guilt, anger, and sadness experienced by many mothers who switch from breastfeeding is palpable, and it's deeply unfair to leave so many feeling that they've failed. Other recommendations from the Royal College's paper released at the start of World Breastfeeding Week include ministers to legislate for breastfeeding breaks and facilities in all workplaces suitable for breastfeeding and expressing breast milk, local breastfeeding support to be planned and delivered to mothers, Public Health England to develop a national strategy to change negative societal attitudes to breastfeeding. It also wants the government to reinstate the UK-wide infant feeding survey, which was cancelled in 2015. Only 34% of babies were receiving some breast milk at 6 months, compared with 49% in the US and 71% in Norway, according to medical journal The Lancet. At a year, this figure fell to 0.5%. The Royal College points to UNICEF research that concludes even moderate increases in breastfeeding could save the NHS up to £40 million a year through fewer GP consultations and hospital admissions.